WrestleMania 40 Night 1 is now in the history books. Welcome to my review / recap of the show. I'm going to give you my thoughts on Night 1 of WrestleMania. I wanted to add that I did watch last night's Hall of Fame, and I was super happy and super emotional during Paul Heyman's speech. And it was good to see Bull Nakano get credit for all the work she's done. And it was good to see Thunderbolt Patterson preaching. And I mean, he's an older guy, but I enjoyed it. And it was cool seeing The Rock getting the belt from Muhammad Ali's wife. Also, I did watch most of Stand and Deliver this morning. I was going to do a video on it, but I missed the first two matches. And I just didn't have time to watch them. So I enjoyed what I saw. Trick Williams, okay match. You know, Roxanne Perez won. So I enjoyed that from what I saw. Again, I have to go back and watch the show again and really put focus on it. So let's talk about this WrestleMania Night 1. So they opened the show with Triple H actually coming out. And first of all, the big story about the show is the weather. People were freezing cold, apparently. I mean, I don't think it was that, like, it's not that crazy. It's 52 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was cold. It was colder than normal. And that may have affected how the crowd was reacting. But Triple H came out. And he basically, well, first of all, there's a new, like, signature intro video that Triple H is voicing with the Then, Now, Forever together. So that's, you know, sort of symbolic of this new Renaissance era that we're in. So, and also, Coco Jones, I should have mentioned this, sang the national anthem. Not America the Beautiful. That was different. America the Beautiful was always used since WrestleMania, 2? I think, and so I really thought that they were going to use it forever, but I guess maybe tomorrow they'll use it. Maybe today they used the national anthem. And so again, I said Triple H came out just to welcome everybody to the show, and we opened the show with Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. So I loved the entrances. Becky had like her book. It was like a graphic of her book opening up and them showing passages from the book. And then for Rhea, they had the rock band that plays her theme song. They were, they sang her to the ring. So I'm going to be honest. This was a good match, but I was a little bit disappointed. I think I kind of feel like I was expecting more maybe. It was a good match though. I liked how Becky kept trying to transition into the disarmer from various different moves, and Ripley kept trying to get out of it. The story they told was fine. It was basically they were trying to finish each other off, but they couldn't. It's a pretty basic story. And it was a strong win for Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley won the match and retained the title. I picked her to win in my predictions, but then I slowly started to think that maybe Becky would win because they were opening with the match. But what happened was Lynch was trying to do the manhandle slam from the middle rope or from the second rope, and Rhea Ripley got out of it. And she used the riptide into the turnbuckle and then hit the riptide into the pad, and then hit another one in the ring for the victory. So it was a decisive win. I'm not sure where Becky Lynch goes from here. There was no shadiness. There was no cheating. This was Rhea Ripley knocking off another one of the horsewomen at WrestleMania. So I am curious to see what they do with the Becky Lynch character, because it does feel like she's a few steps below where she used to be. So then we had the 6-pack ladder match for the tag titles. Finn Balor, Damian Priest versus DIY versus Miz and Truth versus Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, the New Day versus Austin Theory, Grayson Waller versus the New Catch Republic. So what they did is a lot of folks, including me, thought they were going to split the belts. And that's exactly what they did. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller won the SmackDown titles, and then Awesome Truth won the Raw titles. I did not like the winners for this. I picked DIY and New Catch Republic because I thought they were going to go with new teams coming out of WrestleMania. But Awesome Truth now has the titles, and I feel like it's going to be a short reign because they are kind of a comedy tag team. I wasn't expecting that. And then Theory and Waller, though, they're still young and they can get heat. So I imagine they'll have those titles on SmackDown for a while, although there's going to be a draft coming. I believe in the draft is in a month, is what Triple H said on the Logan Paul podcast. I heard everything, by the way, y'all. I heard the Cody Rhodes podcast with Ariel Helwani. I heard Triple H on Logan Paul, the ESPN interviews. There have been tons and tons of interviews all weekend long for WrestleMania. So the match was brutal, though. I mean, I would not put it above TLC 2 or the tag team three-way match from WrestleMania 2000. I think those matches were probably more spectacular, but there were some nasty bumps here, including Grayson Waller going through a ladder, man. That was rough. That was rough. The match was fine. It wasn't a bad match. It was kind of obvious they were going to split the titles because they were hanging the titles from the top of the ring in two separate rungs. It wasn't like it was one rung with 4 belts. And so it really did feel like this is what they were doing, and they did it. So now moving forward, Raw is going to have their own tag belts, and SmackDown will have their own tag belts, like how they were, basically from 2022 and back. So there is that. Rey Mysterio and Andrade Rey Mysterio and Andrade Cien Almas against Santo Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. This was another fun match. I kind of wanted a little bit more lucha, which is why I would have preferred if they actually had the full LWO against the full Fantasma stable, but they didn't do that. The match was still fine. Obviously, these guys in WWE are not going to be able to go to their full capacity with the lucha, although I wish they did, but they gave us enough, man. Andrade is a big dude, yo. Like, to be doing these moves, but he is La Sombra. So what happened was, during the match, these two masked guys, they were wearing green Rey Mysterio masks with the Eagles colors, came from ringside. They were big dudes, and I was like, who the hell is this? I thought maybe it was a new tag team coming up or something. They unmasked, and it was Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson from the Philadelphia Eagles. Kelsey, I had heard he was going to be at the show. So basically, the Eagles are the ones that screwed over Dominic and Escobar. And I was surprised. I really thought Dominic was going to pin his father, but he loses to his father 2 years in a row. Rey pins Escobar, and Andrade takes out Dom. And I think this is the end of that feud. I think it's the end of Rey and Escobar. It feels like it. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. The video package for this match was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this video package was one of the best that this company has ever put together. I mean, I am not my brother's keeper. They showed the baby pictures. They cut between the two. Like, they showed their real names and their wrestling names. Like, it was so well done. It was beautiful, yo. The match itself, it was okay. They kind of focused a bit more on drama. I'll be honest, I feel like they kind of dropped the ball a little bit with this. Not that they didn't go out there and try. There was a part where they're just trading super kicks back and forth, and it was I was expecting a spot like that in the match, and I was expecting it to be a little bit more, I don't know, I expected more, honestly. This felt like the Rhea Ripley, I thought the Rhea Ripley match with Becky was better. This one had way more storytelling, though, between the brothers. And Jay won with a spear and then the splash. I thought Jimmy needed the title. I thought he needed the win more than Jay. But they put Jay over. They did a spot also early in the match where it was very much like the Gargano Ciampa match from the 2017 TakeOver, if you remember, TakeOver New Orleans, where Ciampa's like pretending to be sorry for what he's done, right? And that's the same thing Jimmy did. And then, Jay fell for it. And because, he hit the super kick. He super kicked him. Then they went back and forth. But yeah, it could have been better. I think they could have done more with this feud to make it more dramatic. I really do feel it. They could have made it more dramatic. So, yeah, they keep talking about the cold, and it must have been really cold for them to keep talking about it, because when they were up there for WrestleMania in NYNJ, they never discussed the cold. So, obviously, there was a lot of, they felt it. 6-woman tag team match, Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill against Damage Control. This whole thing was put together to be first of all, the entrances were dope, but it was put together to be a and yes, Lil Wayne did rap some verses from a Millie before Jay went to the ring. It was a short appearance. But the 6-woman match was fine. It was basically put together to really put a lot of, like, they're putting a lot on Jade Cargill. Like, this is a project for WWE. And Bianca Belair, I said earlier this year that I would like to see Bianca and Jade Cargill go at it. The two athletic, strong women. And I think they will at some point. I think that feud is coming down the road. But here they were on the same side. And of course they won because Jade Cargill won. She pinned Dakota Kai with the Jaded, which of course the tag team champions didn't get pinned. So that's unfinished. But yeah, the whole objective of this was to give Jade Cargill a big WrestleMania win. And she got it. That was the whole purpose. Now we get to probably my favorite part of the show, y'all. Sami Zayn and Gunther. So Sami Zayn, they showed him in the back with his wife and kid. It was a very touching moment. The story's great. Chad Gable was like, look, Chad Gable was like, go out there on your own. I won't be there. And he's like, look, get it done on your own. And then he tells him, but you owe me a favor. Completely copied Rocky 3. Obviously, the favor is going to be Sami defending the Intercontinental title against Gable. I mean, it's obvious. It is obvious that that's what they're going to do. I don't know if he's going to turn heel when that happens, but it's obvious. Then Zayn's moving up, and then Kevin Owens was there, and Owens gives him a big hug. And that was great. That was just phenomenal storytelling. And the match, this was, to me, the best match of the night and might end up being the best match of the weekend. We'll see tomorrow night. But my God, bro, this was a war. This whole match was Gunther basically dominating Sami and Sami coming back. Sami with the chop, Sami hitting him as hard as he hit him. They were hitting each other hard, bros. Sami and Walter's chest were both red. I mean, they were smacking each other, bro. So he kept going for the haluva kick, but Gunther was slipping under with the sleeper. At one point, he's got Sami beat, and he's looking over at, like, Sami's wife, taunting her. He's just doing a couple moves like a splash, just taunting her. And what ends up happening, and this was, man, this was so well done. What a great match. This is a match. This is a classic match. This is a classic match. So, Gunther, like, is in control. Sami starts to power up. He starts to get a Zenkai, feeling the power of the crowd. Gunther goes on the top rope. Sami hits this flying haluva kick, which stuns him, and then hits him with the Brain Buster, which is his finishing move as El Generico. He has not used that move since the Indies. They teased him doing it on Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 37. I was there, and I thought maybe he would, but no. This was crazy, man. This was crazy because he actually hit the Brain Buster, and then 2 more haluva kicks, and he got the 1, 2, 3. Gunther has lost. Gunther has lost the title, folks. What a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful victory this was. Satisfying, best match of the night. So then we're going to get to our main event. First, Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce announced 72,543. They showed some celebrities at ringside, and we have Cody Rhodes, who comes out first. He hugs Michelle, his mom, and gives Brandy's father, which is Cody's father-in-law, the championship, or not the championship, the belt, his weight belt, the one, the white one that he wears. And Seth Rollins comes out like over the top. The Rock's entrance was awesome. He's got the People's title that, Miss Ali gave to him last night. And he has like this flaming Brahma bull, and they had like the lightning effects and the fire. It was awesome, yo. And by the way, Roman Reigns, by the time Roman Reigns got in the ring, yo, it was 30 minutes after the Sami Zayn segment ended. So they really took their time. This whole segment was long. It was like an hour. The match itself was about 45 minutes. This was a long match. The match started off slow because they knew they were going to go a long time. So at first it was kind of slow and methodical with Rock coming in a little bit, Roman, little stuff. Then the next section of the match, it started brawling around the ring. So Cody and Roman went brawling up to like the stage area, and then Seth and Rock were brawling around, and Seth grabbed the water bottle and spit it in Rock's face, which is something Rock did back in the Attitude Era. He was the first guy I remember to ever do that. He spit in Stone Cold's face, or maybe it was Triple H. It was one of those two guys. And so what happened was they're brawling all around ringside, and then they get back to the ring, and then we get to like the last like 20 minutes of this was crazy. Tons of near falls. The Rock tries to like, this is so good. The Rock is taunting Michelle at ringside, which we knew he would do, and she's talking trash back. Then they start doing a thing where they're working over Seth Rollins' knee. So they're going back and forth here. I don't want to go into every sequence because this match was long and a lot of stuff happened. But the finish, I mean, there was some... Rollins hit Rock with a curb stomp at one point. And he hit Roman with a curb stomp to the top of the head, and that was nasty. Not the top, like the actual top, but like the forehead. That was nasty looking when he had Cody. He had Cody cinched up in the guillotine. Now, at one point, Roman accidentally spears Rock. What happens is the Rock is in the ring. Cody set up, but Seth dives and moves him out of the way, and Rock ends up getting speared. I thought they were doing that spot tomorrow. I guess they're not. So, or maybe they will still. I mean, I don't know, but that's got to be the beginning of the Rock Roman Reigns split, because it's happening. I mean, that match is happening next year. So what ends up happening after that, and the crowd, I think, was tired by this point because the match, again, this was a long match, 45 minutes. That's one of the longest WrestleMania main events ever. It's not the longest. Obviously, Brett and Shawn Iron Man match, that was the longest. But this was maybe the second or third longest. Because I know that Randy Orton and Edge had a really long match at Mania 36, but that wasn't the main event. Anyways, so Rollins, what ends up happening, they do a double pedigree, and that was awesome, but it was a kick out. They teased the people's elbow, didn't happen. So what does end up happening is, basically, Roman Reigns hits Rhodes with he's going for he hit the drive-by on the outside. And also he did a Superman punch, and he caught him right when Cody was doing the Cody cutter or the disaster kick, and that was awesome. So they go right, they hit the right hands, and then Cody goes for the crossroads. He's about to hit one more, but The Rock hit him with the weight belt. And then Reigns speared Cody. Then The Rock gets tagged in. Rock hits Cody with a rock bottom and the people's elbow. So it took a spear, a rock bottom, and a people's elbow to beat Cody. That and again, that when the announcers were like, "Oh my God, Cody is screwed," which means he's going to win tomorrow. This is exactly what I told you was going to happen, and what I've been saying now for months and for weeks since they've had the tag match. The heels are going to win night one. Cody will win night two. It couldn't be more telegraphed than how it is now. The Rock, now, as far as The Rock he didn't look as big as he did against Cena. He looked about like how he did in 2001, where he had a leaner body. And to be honest, he did a good job. Obviously, he's not going to be at the level of the guys currently now because they're always wrestling every week on the road. But The Rock, for a guy who hasn't wrestled a real match, a long match, in 11 years, I thought he looked better in this match than he did against Cena in WrestleMania 29, the second one they had. Obviously, he got hurt in that one. And as far as we know, The Rock is not hurt. So, he didn't get hurt in this match. So, Rock and Roman are the winners. Tomorrow it's going to be a cluster muck in that main event, folks. It's going to be, without question, it's going to be complete and utter overbooking madness for Cody to win the title. We'll see what happens. They held up the titles. It was a good show. I still think that this was a good show. But I still think that last year's night one and the year before's night one were a tiny bit better. But the last two matches on this show were absolutely great, especially Gunther and Sami Zayn. I enjoyed it. Again, I expected a bit more from some of the undercard. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I had super high expectations, but I liked the show. I enjoyed the show. So tomorrow we got WrestleMania Sunday, the coronation of Cody Rhodes. I will be back to talk all about it. And don't forget, I told you last year during my WrestleMania 29 review, I said that Cody's winning the title this year at this show. And I'm going to be right tomorrow. See you then. And boy, if I'm not, I'm going to get shit on, but oh well. That's life.